One of the most harrowing moments in our country's history is how the Prime Minister has described the brutal knife attack in Southport.
Axel, Rudakubana, has been sentenced to 52 years for the appalling murders of 3 young girls at a dance class. Alice, aged 9, Bibi Kim, just 6, and Elsie, 7. Another 8 children and 2 adults were wounded, the judge describing Rudakubana as pure evil.
In court, heartbreaking statements of the victims were read out. The parents of Alice said, "She was brilliant, she was our everything. Living life without Alice is not living at all. It's a state of permanent numbness." The mother of Elsie Dot described the family's heartache. "There is no greater loss and no greater pain. His actions have left us with a lifetime of grief, and it's only right that he faces the same." Dance teacher Leanne Lucas, who was stabbed and had multiple surgeries, said, "I cannot give myself compassion or accept praise, as how can I live knowing I survived when children died? For Alice, Elsie, Bibi and the surviving girls, I'm surviving for you."
We're now joined by Sarah Stanger, Director and Head of Serious Injuries and Public Inquiries at Bond Turner Solicitors, who represented the victims. Sarah, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. I know you've been through this for such a long time now, and I'm sure it's had an effect and a toll on you. And we were discussing this earlier, and, you know, we mentioned that the most important thing out of all of this is to think about the families, of what they have been through, what they're still going through. It's incredibly raw. I don't think you'll ever recover for something like this. How are they now feeling post the proceedings from yesterday?
I think yesterday was horrifying for anyone who listened to it. The families had somewhat managed to protect themselves in a bubble from the injuries, so I think they are horrified, and it's a little bit like going back to square one for them.
Was there any... I mean, comfort's the wrong word, isn't it? But was there any sense of resolution at hearing the sentence, that in some way a step forward could be taken? Any comfort at all?
I'm not sure any comfort.
No.
From yesterday. I don't think there could be any comfort from yesterday, but I think the sentence was significant, and I think there is reassurance that he is unlikely to ever come out.
Yeah. I mean, you've supported them for so long. You're professional, but it must have affected you. And you've praised how well they've coped with it, because I imagine in many ways they're still in shock.
Yes, I mean, I'm in awe of their strength and dignity, the way in which that they've dealt with this in the most horrifying circumstances. I think it's fair to say that even the most hardened of police officers have been shocked and horrified by these crimes.
You know, it's absolutely awful, and I think at times like this, and I always think that we all have a certain responsibility as well, I think, don't we? I mean, it's very easy to treat this and look at this, and you know, it's our job. We look at these as news stories, but we forget at the heart of it, these are people's lives. And I think it's important, isn't it, that how it's reported, and I know the media on the whole are following very strict guidelines about decency, respect and legal framework, and how a lot of this was reported. But I know that online often, you know, it was where people will get caught out or think that, you know, well, I'm just posting something, it's fine, it's just to generate, you know, likes or whatever it might be. But we mustn't forget that they can be seen by everybody, including the families involved. So I think we need to be really mindful of that, don't we?
Yes, and the families really plead for people, you know, in posting online to be respectful, to not try and incite hate, or, you know, no one wants to see a repeat of what happened last year, and not in the girls' names. The families do not want that. They want calm and respect and privacy at this time.
Of course. And what... Nothing going to bring those little lives back or unpick the damage. to the survivors who had to go through this on all sides, including, as you say, the police and the first responders in the situation. But how can we as a society best serve the families and those affected going forward? What can be done?
I think the rapid announcement of the public inquiry is a positive step. To be able to understand what went wrong here, I think everyone was shocked to see how many missed opportunities there were. I think it's important that we get to the bottom of what's happened and make recommendations to close any gaps in relation to when there's a danger.
Yeah. Are you reassured by the public inquiry, and the fact that families didn't have to argue for it or push for it, because that would have felt too much? But you will need to be there to support them through it, because in a way it means they have to continue thinking all the time about what happened.
Yes, I think it's so important that the families are at the heart of this public inquiry, just as they were in the Thirlwall inquiry. I represent families in that, so as long as it's dealt with in that way, I think that it'll be done well.
I mean, one of the issues here, and I know I've heard you mention this, is that, you know, that he slipped through the net because the people thought there was no ideology. He went to the prevent. There was no radicalisation. We could pin it to a group or a religious extremism or far-right extremism. But a lot of people won't understand that, because there were still signs of violence. He was obsessed with violence, carrying knives. I mean, the police caught him with a knife on a bus. What do you think is going wrong? Where is that gap that needs to be filled? In your profession, you must see these kind of crimes, you know, and you've seen the rise in violent crime quite a lot in recent years. Where is that gap coming in our society and culture, and why is that there, do you think?
I think there were so many missed opportunities here. I think it's been reported that there were about 15 missed opportunities. I think parents need to be assisted to prevent their children accessing this type of material online. You know, I think he was watching very graphic videos that have radicalised him, and I think we definitely need to close those gaps.
Yeah. Can I just quickly ask, are the families getting all the support you think that they need right now?
I think they could always have more support.
Good.
I'm trying to assist them. I know that they're very, very grateful for the assistance that they've had so far.
But you think there could be more?
There could always be more.
OK, that's interesting.
Sarah, look, thank you so much for talking to us this morning, and do please pass on the love and support and emotion that we all feel for the families when you speak to them from this programme, as I know all our viewers want to send it to you in any way they can. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
That's Sarah Stango joining us, Director and Head of Serious Injuries and Public Injuries at Bond Turner Solicitor for the bereaved families. Now, if you've been affected by any of the issues we've been discussing, you can find advice and support at itv.com helplines.